Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we need to amend the agenda so that we can have time for our special guests. Can somebody make a motion?
We accept the amended agenda.
Any second? Sue seconds. All in favor signify aye. Opposed nay. Erica?
Aye.
Aye.
Sue? Aye. Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. So moving right along, swearing in a board of directors. Skylar. So we're going to all repeat after you. Okay. Please rise.
And the way we need to do this is I'll say what you need to say. Insert your name.
You have to raise our right hands.
Sure.
I, Erica Marshall.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
Do solemnly swear that I will
Support the Constitution of the United States of America.
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
Recreation District.
And the
Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District, and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself in the office of the Board of Director position, to which I have been elected to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nomination and selection of board officer positions. We'll start with board president. Any nominations?
Catherine Parker.
Any other nominations?
I didn't hear that.
I nominated Catherine Parker.
Any further discussion? Do we have a second?
I'll second that if I.
I think you're allowed to, Mike. All in favor signify aye. Opposed nay. Erica?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Yay. Board vice president. I would like to nominate Celeste for board vice president. Any other nominations?
I'll go with Mike. Just for some controversy.
I appreciate the nomination, but I think it's time for me to
Step down.
step aside and let you, young folks move into these. I've been chair and vice chair.
Were you
For a while, a
so were
couple
you
times.
secretary just this last round?
He served as
he was
both.
both. That's right. Okay.
So I'm thinking we can split them up and make Mike the secretary.
That's true.
And then, because Mike's concerns where he has struggles hearing sometimes.
Right.
So the
Well,
the vice chair then just steps in and runs meetings if I'm not here.
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
Yeah, but although.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
Anyway, thank you for that nomination.
So do we have a second for Celeste?
I second.
Thank you, Sue. All in favor signify aye. Opposed
Aye.
nay.
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Secretary. Anybody want to volunteer, or do we just nominate Mike?
I will volunteer, but you need to do.
I nominate Mike.
I second.
Thank you.
Any other nominations? All opposed? Nay? I'm losing my train of thought here. Go.
Do something.
Eric, yes. Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Yay. Hold on. There you go.
I know.
I know.
fine.
Moving right along. Public comment. Any public comment? And nobody's here, so.
Unless Cam or Melissa or
Okay.
would like to submit public comment.
We are really moving right along. Recognition of the fantastic SEPRD Employee of the Month, Camden Ritterby. Wait, hold on. I gotta find my. Did you print me my notes? No, you did not, and I didn't print it. I'm gonna wing it. No, that's okay. I've got enough dirt on him. Camden has been an amazing employee for how many years? That's the part I don't know.
Oh, Cam, I would guess about 3 to 4. Yeah.
Has it really only been 3? Okay. Okay. Well, it feels like longer because you've been part of the SEPRD family for in so many ways, in so many capacities. My children have gone through Start Smart Sports with you, and you have always been patient and kind and just truly a blessing to that program. And my children, in particular, adore you in the youth programming. So I'm truly, truly happy to say that you are the winner for the August Employee of the Month. And I have a gift for you. Thank you, Cam. Executive session. Do we have a motion to move to executive session?
Move that we move to executive session to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection pursuant to ORS 192.6602F.
Do we have a second? Thank you, Erica. All in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Erica?
Aye.
Sue? Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. We are now in executive session.
No press.
Are we good? Fabulous, thank you. We are moving right along to declaration of potential conflict of interest, which we probably should have done in the beginning. But Erica? None. Sue?
None.
Celeste?
None?
Mike? None. Perfect. Approval of board meeting minutes from June 22nd. Has everybody had a chance to look those over?
Yes, I did. And they looked in order. The minutes looked in order to me. I would move to second them pursuant to other directors reviewing them.
Sue, you have a question?
No, I was just going to second it, but I thought you seconded it.
Mike motions to approve the meeting minutes. Sue is seconding. Do we have any further discussion? Erica, Celeste? All right. All in favor signify aye, oppose nay. Erica?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Correspondence. I saw one item of correspondence in there, which was a lovely letter Darren shared about our swim lessons and our newest
Find it.
instructor on page, it's page, well, there's no pages. You didn't put pages.
Skylar forgot to number the pages this month. I apologize. but
Middle
there's-
of the packet.
There's actually
Middle of the
two
packet,
items
page
of
one.
correspondence. There's a proclamation that was read by, I guess I read it, but it was read at City Council the first Monday of July, which was the 5th. And that proclamation was just to celebrate July as being National Park and Recreation Month. And I think it's important that the district, I think every month is Park and Recreation Month for us, but I'm happy that the city recognized that and we were able to share that message. And then the second letter, like you shared, is a letter that came in through our website information option. And just a note about our private swim instructor, Carolyn, who's doing amazing work. Previously, we had private swim lessons offered from our aquatic staff, but Carolyn has come in, and that's really the only thing that she's focusing on right now for the district, and she's completely revamped the work of the district in that area, and she's serving just under 60 kids for their July, and she has 60 on the books for August. So pretty incredible work, and if you've been in the pool, you can see the high level of skill that she brings. She's from the Portland area, and she's coached, Olympic athletes and those types of experiences in her past.
I'm looking forward to meeting her. I'm wondering if she's my former English teacher.
Wow, that would be kind of cool.
Was she an Olympic swimmer?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Did she write a book?
I also would not be surprised. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but neither of those things, including being a teacher,
I need to meet her.
would surprise me. So yeah, come on by, and you can see her in action.
I would just say, since I get to be in the pool 10 hours a week, I get to see her work, and it's always impressive.
Fabulous. Very excited to have her on our team. Review of the financials from June of 2021.
Yeah, if I can preface this, I tried to explain a little bit. We've transitioned now completely to our new software, Tyler Technologies, and I think all challenges aside, we've been able to implement the new software well. Up until last week, we weren't sure exactly what these reports would look like, but Darren and Chris McAllister, kind of our finance transition team, were able to help produce these reports, so really thankful for them. Before I open up to questions, I guess I would love the board to provide some feedback on if this report that was generated, so you have a budget variation report, which is essentially what you got, but it looks a lot different. And then you have an expense approval report, which has the check registry, but also other expenses that weren't necessarily present in the check registry. So in the future, the district could continue to provide these reports, or we could go back to providing the old style of reports that we had previously. However, to do that, we would have to insert this data, these figures into a spreadsheet kind of table like you had before. So if the board can weigh that and provide some feedback to staff, that would be great. Obviously, I think this change is a good one, and it definitely saves staff time on having to create a whole new report.
Personally, I feel like any time we are not transferring numbers, then your margin of error goes down. So I think these are, for me, they're fine.
I should also share, sorry, I forgot one thing. On the budget variance report, for a reason that I'm not sure if I can explain right now, the revenue is not shown. So all of the revenue categories don't show any revenue that we generated for the month of June. Now, obviously, that's not accurate. Our plan is to figure out exactly why that happened and to present a full report of June's financials as well as July's in the August board meeting. By then, I think we'll have this software a little more under our belt, and the report functions, a little more information about how to do those.
I would say for a first go round, I think it looks pretty good. Thoughts?
Yeah, it looks different. I was wondering, somehow this looks different than when I was home reviewing it. There's a Broadway Field Fund, and then there's a capital Broadway Field Capital Fund. I was wondering what was going on with this report. I'm having trouble understanding it. Are we over budget on Broadway Field? Is that what that basically says?
Are we over budget? I don't see how we could be, Mike. This report does. I think you should.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the top line, the revenue summary, does not make sense to me. I don't think those figures are accurate. But what does look like it does line up with what I would be expecting are most of the lines under expense summary. So this might be one of the reports that we would have to look at and make sure that we entered the budget correctly into, because I don't think these figures. Yes. Yeah.
And this is BR.
So the building fund is the next page, which is BF Capital Fund, and then the Broadway Field Fund is
There's
separate.
the capital fund. It
Yeah.
says Broadway Field Capital Fund. But that's just a capital fund. It's not dedicated to Broadway Field.
Yeah, it's Building Fund, Capital Fund.
Building fund,
Yeah,
okay.
that's one of our.
Okay, I just interpreted it incorrectly.
No, I can understand that. Yeah, this is a
Now,
whole
my
new.
understanding is that, the Broadway Field Fund, for what expenses that we have with the batting cage facility, that we're aiding, we're cleaning bathrooms and doing certain things, and that is coming out of the Broadway Field Fund?
So the only thing that's staff expense that would be coming out of the Broadway Field Fund would be the infrequent cleaning, or frequent enough, but just cleaning the bathrooms. Yeah, the other expenses manifested on the Broadway Field Fund would be the
So-
actual on the turf surface.
If the foundation is reimbursing the district for expenses on the batting cage because of that arrangement, how do we show the revenue from the foundation?
So what we're doing is keeping track of the expenses associated with the HFTF, and then probably like every 6 months or so we will bring that to the foundation for their approval, and they will provide reimbursement to the district for those expenses.
Okay. Is that similar to how you're handling the community gardens? I know on the last report I saw revenue, and Marcus said, yeah, that's showing the revenue, but would these reports also show the expense on the community gardens?
It should, yeah.
I think your staff is doing a great job. They're going over and above. From what I can see at the railroad gardens in particular, they've been doing the city's work by, pruning all those bushes all along there, and I'm wondering if the city understands the favor and expense that we're going to doing what's outside the gardens. It's a gray area, I know, and I know the city is pressed, Public Works, with staff and a budget to do things that they normally might do and have done in the past. But they've done a nice job, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. I think
One-
particularly since the Earth Day, the Day of Service activity, our staff is committed to keeping that garden space looking really nice. So I appreciate the work of the maintenance team in doing that.
So one of the things I haven't been able, I did not go back and look at is, do you know if the budget in the new system is the supplemental, includes all the supplementals or not?
So all the supplementals were passed in the last fiscal year. So what should be present on here is the 21-22 budget that was approved at the last meeting. Does that make sense?
Remind me, our
So
fiscal year ends,
it ends June 30th.
well, that's what I thought, because this it's as of 6:30.
Correct, because that's when, that's a good point. So I guess, yes, they should represent,
Should be in here.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
And then moving forward, it would be represent, what was adopted by the board.
So
But that's a great question, Celeste. Kind of due to our transition, we're not sure if all of those new figures got inputted, and so I think as,
just do a double eyeball,
yeah.
just for my satisfaction.
Thanks.
So are we going to talk about the check registry too?
Go ahead.
Or I'm comfortable with the expense or the financial report.
I do have some questions, so I'm concerned about the line item rule for fund balances. I'm recognizing at least by these reports, we have fund balances that were seven. So for instance, SRC actual, so we ended up higher there, so we're okay there. It's only if we exceed expenditures, correct? That's the 10% rule?
Correct. Oh, no, it's if it variates within 10%, either direction, yeah.
Under or overspend? So we can end up with larger fund balance,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Does this report show the ending fund balance? Is this a complete report for the last fiscal year?
I don't believe that it is, and it's not because the report doesn't show that. It's because I don't know if we were able to input every piece of information into our new software to make this a complete and accurate report. Yeah.
Interesting, getting used to these new reports.
I'm sort of viewing this as a take one.
Yeah, it's kind of a draft. I wish it was more complete, but we recognize that, and also just that the team that's been filling in on our finance has been awesome. I've tasked them with keeping payroll going and the other essential duties of the finance office. Not that this isn't as essential, but their time is limited in some ways. And they both have many other job duties and responsibilities for the district, including lifeguarding, swim instructing, IT, management, patron relations specialist. So yeah, we're kind of trying to patch it through, and this is a draft, essentially, I think a template draft of what we hope to provide.
So you're basically, right now with this new software, you're actually shadowing all these figures in both software formats?
Correct. Actually,
Are you
I don't.
sure?
I think we may have already transitioned out of that phase. I think we did that for about a 3-month period of time, and then effective probably right around July 1, we're completely on the new software for our accounting needs and payroll. And over the next few months, we'll be transitioning more of our functions, including our point of sale software, to Tyler Technologies, as well as our time tracks, or what our payroll or our employee tracking. What's it called? Employee tracks? ExecuTime. Thank you, Darren. ExecuTime.
I think like with anything new technology, there's an adjustment period.
Does the auditor deal with do they review all sets of books, even with both software?
They will. They'll have access to the full. And we've been in communication with Rick from Kernan Thompson, and I think he understands our position and that we're, kind of transitioning, but also transitioning personnel in this area.
Thank you.
So I am noticing some fairly large line item expenditures, and I'm just wondering sort of what is our process for determining, some equipment?
The lawnmower?
For the refrigeration, was that also for the lawn? Aquatics? Okay.
You did, and the lawnmower
Yeah.
was actually approved
We were
several months ago. It just, for whatever reason, even though we have the lawnmower and had it, they didn't bill us until just recently.
we got a grant that covered some of those expenditures.
Yeah.
We did. But yes, there are some heavier expenses, and this shows more, I think this is a more thorough report than the previous check registry. So if you have questions, I'm happy to help, and I would expect between Darren and myself, we can probably recount what the items were for. We did, yeah. Yeah, yeah. They, the granting organization did allow us to hold some of the funds to pass on to employees, which we're going to do at the end of the summer camp program. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, looks good.
Any further questions on June? I think we'll wait to approve till next month when we get a kind of
I
updated one.
appreciate the business account summary at the end, I think is really nice to be able to have, and I super appreciate that we may be able to get reports without doing extra data entry
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
transcribe, because it'll reduce errors. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
That's fine with me. Yeah. I'll note that, and we'll have June and July for you next month to
Perfect.
hopefully approve.
Thank you.
I would move that we approve the financials for June.
I think what we'll do, Mike, is since there's a few errors, we'll wait until
Okay.
next month
Yes.
and
okay.
get a fresh one and then look it over.
I may have overlooked the comments on the errors.
Yeah. So old business, the board meeting and workshop information, date, time, and location. So we had moved the meetings to
Yes.
fourth Tuesday of the month. Does that still work with everybody? Sue, I know you have some commitments that may or may not be changing.
Just don't move it back.
Okay, don't move it back, okay. I think the time still works, 5:15 for, those 3-hour meetings that we frequently have. Do we want to continue to have it here at the Bob, or we could potentially move it to the SRC?
I would just say, I really do want to have our board meetings in the SRC at some point. I think right now our technology setup is much better here.
Okay.
We have the YouTube kind of set up. Darren's got the camera positioning down, and we have speakers ingrained into the building, whereas over there we don't have those things. So I would say my vote, if I had one, would be to delay on moving that until we have that location kind of ready to go, and we can just plug things in and be ready for board meetings each month.
I'm happy with the time and the meeting dates. I would like, if we're going to stay here, I would like a configuration when we're in an intimate meeting like this without too many public, that we're able to look at each other and not get a stiff neck trying to watch Skylar. Not that I can read lips or anything yet, but
I think
I would
it's
appreciate,
sometimes challenging, though, to determine how many people will show up to our meetings.
well, we have a podium. The podium can be, that's where people.
Yeah, and the
people
other
can-
factor to
people
consider
can
is
watch
the
and listen
is the
anywhere in
camera.
room.
Oh, yeah, Mike.
Right now we're all facing the camera, which is nice. The
Yeah,
back,
it's better than our backs.
yeah. So it's kind of been a challenge, I think, to find a configuration that looks good on film and also provides
Okay.
functionality. But
Sure.
open to suggestions, and Darren and I will keep working on maybe there's a easier way to configure the room.
Multiple YouTube
Just,
cameras.
can you clarify, just so that I have it in my notes? So is it third or fourth Tuesday?
Fourth.
Fourth Tuesday
Mark Tuesday.
at this time?
Yes. And then we usually do the workshops the second Tuesday of the month. Does that still work for when we need to do workshops? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But we'll figure it out.
That one is the workshops are kind of more as needed,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I think those are more flexible. Go ahead.
If you wouldn't mind, when you're ready to do that, if you can make a motion, just so we can have the board's decision officially signified, because that might be important to some members of the public that have questions about our meeting time and location and such.
I have one question. The third Tuesday is the school board?
School board.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons we had moved it, just
Right.
to make it more accessible for the community. Any,
It's fine. Just leave it.
do we have a motion
We have to motion.
for the public to, so motion to keep the date and time?
Keep the day and time of our board meeting on the fourth Tuesday of the month
At 5:15.
at 5:15.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Sue. All in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Erica? Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
How about the workshops? Do you need a motion for that?
I think the workshops are more as needed.
As needed, yes.
New business, the Broadway Field Intergovernmental Agreement. Do you want to kick
Sure.
off that discussion?
Yeah, so this has been a topic that's been requested by several directors, and I think it's appropriate. We do need to review this agreement that we have for lots of reasons. One, I think it's just making sure that the board knows the commitments of the district as being a part of this agreement, but also provide some recommendations or strategies moving forward. What I wanted to do after, especially after talking to Director Marshall about this and hearing some of her feedback, was just kind of lay out the facts as we proceed. Presented 7 pretty simple facts and also a report that just showed the usage of the field. And I do that with the understanding that I think this board recognizes the fulfillment of our mission in providing that space and maintaining that space and how beneficial it is to so many in our community. It is a little bit unusual to have an entity responsible for the care and maintenance of the field and scheduling of the field, but not necessarily, we don't use the field that much directly with our programs, and we also don't financially benefit from the field. But there's kind of some trade-offs there. As you can see from the report, historically, the usage of the field has been predominantly used by the Seaside School District, and
I
then
can't read this,
secondarily by Seaside kids.
Can you send this to us, because my eyes are not that
Sure,
good.
yeah.
I cannot read
Sorry.
which percentage, of who's doing what.
Well, essentially, almost every year, it's around 60 to 70% of the available time on the field, or available rental hours on the field, are used by the school district. And then
Yeah.
after that, the second most frequent
Yeah.
user is Seaside
Yeah, I'm
Kids.
looking at here,
They
too.
vary depending on the year and on parent involvement and engagement and the number of teams that they have. Lately, I think it's been a positive trend. We've had more Seaside Kids participation, and it's good that it's not just baseball, it's baseball and softball. But I think it's important that you understand that. And I also wanted to share that the district, for the last 2 years at least, we haven't really had any scheduled field activities. We had a softball league, an adult co-ed softball league provided by the district, but we discontinued that last year because of COVID, and we chose not to do it this year, partly out of COVID concerns, but also partly it was not a revenue generating activity, and it was really hard to recruit and keep teams engaged for even a 9 or 10 game regular season. Some of the other things I just wanted to share, and then we can discuss, or I'd be happy to hear your feedback, is that we do have an agreement with the school district, and I provided the original IGA agreement as well as the amended document from about 5 years ago. But that secondary agreement provides a little less than $11,000 to the district annually from the Seaside School District for maintenance. Overall, I feel strongly that the field is in really good condition, especially considering its age, but there are some reparations that are needed. And we've kind of been in a little bit of a holding pattern to make sure that we're coordinating a timeline of reparations with the school district, particularly, and the city, as there's some changes forthcoming with their usage of the field. And then lastly, the field has a life expectancy that originally was only supposed to be 8 to 10 years. I think we're going to eclipse that easily. But at some point, the field will need to be replaced, and other improvements may be made at that time or not. We've gotten some rough cost estimates, but it varies depending on who you ask, and labor costs can fluctuate pretty significantly right now. I think one of the most important needs of the IGA, and this was feedback from Erica, that we clarify in the agreement, or maybe with an addendum to the agreement, who is responsible for what aspects of maintenance, and we ask the other parties, other primary users of the field, especially the school district, to designate a primary staff member point of contact to field those requests, and then to communicate and coordinate with the district on those maintenance needs, because right now I think there's a lot of confusion about who to talk to and who's responsible for what, and as a result of that confusion, the district's image is being tarnished in the community by some, and I think unnecessarily so, because we do really try hard to be great partners in this agreement.
Yep. The other thing, Skylar, I noticed is just in that 2.2, it says that there's like a payment starting in 2015 of $10,900.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if we could just have like one cost per year, and that this agreement is then reviewed annually, so
Yeah.
that it's not so vague what that amount is. Sorry, what?
Hey, Darren, can you provide some tech support to Mike's
Oh,
tablet?
sorry.
Sorry, Erica, let me pull that up. This is in the amendment.
Yeah.
It's not running, it's not picking up
Anybody?
Schuyler's mic. I haven't had any text for a few minutes, and I'm having trouble hearing Schuyler.
So are you
So
saying?
2.2.
Yeah, it should.
That like, basically this is so long ago that like that number just seems so, it doesn't really mean anything. So couldn't we just have a number and it's reviewed annually, and literally we just continue to have an amendment? Because it would be nice, I think it'd be good for you guys to understand what they're contributing towards their usage on an annual, at least on an annual basis, or there's some form of, maybe it says here the parties meet to determine that amount on an
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something where it's
Yeah,
like,
I do. So I'm looking at Exhibit G, and it says what I think you're saying. But I want to make sure
where?
It's the amendment page. At the
Yeah,
top it
Exhibit
says
G, yeah.
Exhibit G. So if you look, it says that they'll pay annually at the start of each fiscal year, et cetera, will be an amount of $10,900 with the contribution to be adjusted annually on agreement of the parties
Yeah,
based on
it
maintenance
just feels
costs.
so vague.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that I'm glad we're discussing this is that amount has not been adjusted annually.
Yeah,
It's,
right.
It's still, 5 years, 6
That's-
years later.
Right.
So
Well, and
what
the-
would be the clarifying, text?
I
Make it-
personally almost feel like there should be an amount each year that's clear.
So it should say
But,
or
I
like
mean,
a
that's just-
percentage increase or a total
Potentially,
amount?
yes. That's what I always wanted. Yeah. Exactly.
That's correct. So that, yeah.
Oh, with the exception of the playing field. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But technically, each one of us is basically a third liable for costs. And like you said, Celeste, we're not even using the field. It's in the original where it talks about the being split into thirds.
And essentially, the original agreement calls for us to share the costs equally
Yep.
with the other two parties when we have to redo the field.
Yep.
Which is something that I think should be up for
Debate.
discussion.
Well,
with the
like
other
you said,
parties.
I mean, we're getting close to a potential
Yeah.
replacement.
So, as I read in the Seaside Signal recently, the Seaside School District is going to be having to deal with their Title IX compliance, which may or may not impact the Broadway field, which may or may not impact how the whole thing is laid out and the replacement of the field. So, one of the quotes in there from superintendent was that they have money set aside to do something. So I'm assuming that if they choose to somehow affect Broadway Field to meet compliance, that they will be able to fund that.
No, but this is just a replacement of that field, which is going to be a totally different amount and cost. I just feel like we probably need to get ahead of this now, because that's a whole other topic, and we're still on the hook for $300,000 to $500,000 of just replacing that field.
Yeah.
But I understand where Skylar's been coming from, because over time he's been waiting on them to make a determination about the Title IX before necessarily, tackling some of these major maintenance issues. But I don't even know why Skylar needs to tackle some of these maintenance issues when we're not even using it. I mean, I agree, though. I mean, it's providing, a service to our community, and I think we should be a part of it. I just don't know that we should be splitting it in thirds.
I think the discussion that has happened previously, that I was with different members of this board, that we had discussed, was basically that if we, as a third party, pull out of this agreement completely, saying we don't use it, we're not part of it, the city was going to shut down the field to public access. So in the interests of keeping it open and available to the public, we continue to provide the stewardship.
We should. I think we should. I just think I just think this amendment isn't clear.
Yeah.
And then it leaves all this room for interpretation.
I think that's my concern, because
Yeah.
frankly, the tax dollars are all our tax dollars, right? Like, whether it comes through the city, through the school, or through Park and Rec, it's all of our tax dollars. So I don't really feel like it needs to be a third. Like, missionally, this aligns with the district, in my opinion, and so it's fine. But I do think the clarity is really important. It needs to be clear who is responsible for what, so that we can inform the public, educate the public that uses the field as to who to go to when they have something that needs to be done. I mean, my concern is, and again, I haven't read this closely enough, but are we clear that if, for instance, I don't know, scoreboards go out, who takes care of that?
Traditionally, in the past, that's been the district, although there have been times where the school district has provided maintenance or even funds to help us accomplish those needs.
So I think just being clear about that up front, so it doesn't end up being a battle.
Essentially, yeah.
So that we just have clarity.
So I think basically we need to get all three parties in the same
Yep.
room and
Yep.
sit down and have a discussion.
Yeah.
I mean, think about
Agreed.
this. So in the amendment 3.3, basically they're saying we'll annually decide what equipment or facilities need to be improved. If there's funds within our Broadway Field Fund, then we're supposed to apply those. There's never funds in there, and yet, if there's insufficient funds or no funds, the parties will mutually agree on cost. Like, that's just not happening.
Right.
So I think a lot of times when things kind of break down is when there isn't a point of contact, and I would really like to push the school district to appoint somebody from their end who is going to be fielding this and responsible for making sure that if it does say we need to mutually agree, that they're kind of driving that a bit more. I mean,
Well, and I would propose the city also.
And the
I mean,
city,
because
yeah,
the
if that's
city,
where
I
we're
think,
gonna
is
go
the-
with it.
We need a point of contact there too.
Yep. And name them here.
Just-
I mean,
just-
maybe not the person, but at least
Yeah.
the job title or
Yeah. Does Seaside Kids operate under the city
They do
banner?
not.
They do not. Okay.
they're a
They're a
nonprofit.
private renter
Okay.
of Broadway.
Go ahead, Mike.
It's kind of my opinion. I know we've gone the extra mile with all parties involved, the school district and Seaside Kids and the city. I don't really feel that it could possibly be our responsibility to maintain either of those scoreboards or be responsible for the quality of the field lighting. The city is paying on that. We've all put that in. We've helped pay for it with the foundation and everything. I do think we need to outline our responsibilities. When we went into this originally, it was in order to help the city qualify for the grant to actually achieve that field. And it was because of our ability to administrate the field, reservations and so on, and the hope that maybe we could earn some revenue to support it, that we went into this. But we made a promise to pay a third of that field replacement cost of up to $200,000 with an expected cost of $600,000. I don't know where that stands now. We don't use it a great deal, but we need to look at make sure that the liability for the bleachers and the risk management is clearly defined for the city's benefit and for ours as well. That's all I need to say.
I mean, it's a good point, but I've heard that there's some pieces that are falling off, and that there's been some injuries. So, like, where does that liability sit? I don't know if they would look at an agreement like this to determine that. I don't know. So
I
it
have a
could be a risk
question.
there.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Sue.
So, I attended Stubby Lyons Memorial on Broadway Field, and the scoreboard was lit up with the 1994 scoring. Was it played on Broadway Field?
No, it was played in Autzen Stadium in Eugene.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just wondering if there's any nostalgia for that.
I mean, I think honestly, while there were a lot of financial aspirations that were hoped for when the field was developed and have not come to fruition, there are still opportunities there if they're approached, with the right tact and perspective. Right now it's kind of that's one of those gray areas where I'm not exactly sure, is this my job to pursue a sponsor for the field, or is it the city's job? It's their land, why, or is it the school district, since they're the primary user? So I do think there's been, although communication is good between our three parties, I think we haven't really got down to what's the expression, brass tacks about this, got into the nitty gritty and really addressed some of the challenges.
So what's the best way to proceed? Is this a piece where the executive directors or whoever the designated staff is, that the staff representing the three entities needs to get together and hammer out a proposed agreement to bring back to us? Would you prefer to have some board support with that, or do you want to check in with the entities? What is our next step to?
Yeah, just having done this a little bit before, this same topic with previous elected officials, I think the best strategy is for the district staff to work with either the superintendent or a designee, and then the city manager or a designee of their choice to resolve some of this. But I would really like to have maybe one point of contact from the board to help make sure that all of the concerns or adjustments are made. And I honestly think, after hearing from the board and reading through the IGA many times over the last several years, that it might be in the best interest of all parties to scrap the entire agreement and proceed forward with a new agreement that outlines how we're taking care of the field right now, but also outlines the plan for replacement of the field. And it can have a lot of the stuff that's in there. The good stuff, we'll retain that, but I think just to help clarify and ease confusion and take out some of the things that were expected but haven't been able to be developed.
So I think the big questions are, you know, financial responsibility, liability, and future replacement care.
Yeah.
You know, those are kind of the ones we want to get answered by all parties. Do you,
I think, sorry, one additional one would just be that ongoing maintenance. You know, if something is wrong,
who's,
Mm-hmm.
what is our
Staffing.
process? What is a user of the field's process for getting that concern or that, you know, yeah.
yeah, and point of contacts for, you know, yeah, I think those are all great questions to start with. Do we have a board member volunteer to work with Skylar on kind of fielding our questions to Skylar? And
I mean, I've been doing it. I can do it. I also coach though, so I don't want it to be too close to home. Or if you think, like, if you don't think I'm neutral enough, I guess is what I mean. So
I'm comfortable if you're
Okay.
asking me. I think having someone that uses the field
yeah,
regularly or is on the field and is aware of the issues, and I think you also have, I mean, I don't know if both your kids play field sports, but I know you have one softball player,
Yeah.
so that's important, I think, to have that interest represented
Yeah.
as we work through the challenge.
I think where the conflict could lie is if you were trying to push one sport over the rest. So,
I mean,
Or
I think,
financially benefit.
yeah, no, I think I just want the field to look good. I don't. Yeah.
And I think
I mean,
all
I
the-
want it to look good for our egg hunt, you know, for whatever we're doing out there. So
yeah.
yeah.
And I think all the questions that you've raised thus far, you know, those are all things that we need answers to. So,
Yeah.
do you want a motion?
I don't think we need
Okay.
a motion, but I also wouldn't mind if the board set a rough timeline for this, given what's
Yeah.
happened on this topic in the past, and sometimes it's really hard to get the three parties in a room to have this conversation. So keep that in mind. I don't know if maybe
End of the
6
year?
months or end of the
Yeah.
year.
I would say end of the year could be a realistic for at least an initial meeting, and you know, not that we're necessarily resolving all of these issues, but I think that's a fairly realistic expectation to get everybody in the same room.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that.
And Skylar, I do appreciate you keeping that at the forefront because, you know, the Broadway field is a huge part of our district. It's very visible, and we definitely want to represent Seaside the best that we can. So I appreciate that.
I'm wondering also if in the meantime, in order to sort of mitigate against the damaged reputation piece, could we do a one-page handout that goes to coaches when they book the field?
Sure.
Or an email or some sort of flyer that just indicates that this is a shared responsibility property, and that while we can field your requests, that,
I think
yeah,
that's
something
great.
that educates people that it
Yeah.
isn't, yeah.
And maybe we can provide, you know, issue policy
Right.
for temporarily, you know,
Right.
knowing that maybe we'll have a more permanent solution in place.
Yeah.
But it could say, if there's a concern about the field, please email or call this person or this number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we could develop that.
Proposal regarding the Sports Acres Camp, which was something I had not heard of before, so that was exciting. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, so this is it's going to be a little twisty and turny and confusing, but we heard from this gentleman named Greg Hansen a few years ago. I believe Michael was probably the only member of the board at that time. Essentially, there is a piece of property near the Nehalem River, right by where you turn to go to Jewel, and it is a piece of property that was once a really awesome kind of world-class sports camp for athletes of all different sports to come, and there was lodging facilities or camping facilities, there was sports fields, there was basketball courts. This was in the, I believe, the 60s and 70s, and then for whatever reason, that piece of property fell into, I don't know, either changed hands in ownership or disrepair. So this individual, his proposal is for the district, as well as the other parties that you can see on the first page, to create an intergovernmental agreement where we worked to acquire the property and then developed a strategy to manage the property, working with these other agencies, including Clatsop County, Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians, THPRD of Tualatin Hills, Oregon Parks and Rec, and Travel Oregon. This is what I would refer to as a BHAG, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal. It's super lofty and something that would probably take years, if not decades, to develop. But it is interesting. I felt like it was my responsibility to bring this to this board. The individual, Mr. Hansen, approached me. We've had lots of conversations, and I even went out and looked at the site, and it is really amazing. It doesn't look like sports fields right now because it's been overgrown and used for some other purposes.
So does he own the property,
does
or we
not.
need to acquire the property?
He does not. He's proposing forming this alliance, so to speak, and then working to acquire the property, which he believes can be had, and then working with the other parties to, I guess, program there, have summer camps, have other kind of, not necessarily just us, but we would work in collaboration with these other parties involved. That, to be honest, that part of the arrangement is years, down the road. Essentially, what I'm doing is bringing this to the board for their review. I don't expect that you'll have an answer tonight if you haven't already read the documentation that I provided. But what I would love for you to consider is this proposal, and if you think it's worthwhile for staff to continue engaging with Mr. Hansen. Previously, when it was brought to the board, the direction that the board asked us to go was to not pursue this agreement anymore, and that was honored. But that was, like I said, a couple of years ago. So you may have a lot of questions, and I probably have very few of the answers
At this
point.
time, he's not asking for any sort of monetary, basically it's just kind of an idea.
I don't believe so. I think he wants to know if we would be interested in this, being involved in this conversation moving forward.
So a couple of my questions would be, as protectors of the mission of the district, is to what benefit does this bring the district and members of the district? So that would be a question that you might already have an answer to, or not, and you could come back to us. So that would be my question number one. The second question that I would have is participate. That can mean a lot of things. And so, like, what is the ask? And so your time is super valuable, and you're spread thin. And so,
Well, and they're not asking for him, they're asking for us.
Well, what they really need is, I think, board, the district's overall commitment, but I'm not comfortable extending that commitment without the board.
Yeah.
It's outside the district.
They're
Correct.
asking to appoint a member of the board of directors to serve on this committee.
What page are you on?
It's the very first ORS 190 Sports Acres Siletz. They want one member from each of these
Yeah.
government bodies to serve on this, basically this new board.
There's a signature list
Yeah.
here with dates.
But on the first page, it's asking each public entity will appoint a member of their board of directors to serve on the new ORS 190's board of directors. So they're asking to create a new board of directors.
I don't fully understand this. I have to admit, I've been trying to read through this for
You and me
for a
both.
while. Yeah, and I don't really even understand what his objective is.
So essentially, there's a provision in ORS that allows special districts and other government agencies to form almost like a new special district. It's not a special district, but it's an approved government agency, basically. And that's what he's asking. We would all have to contribute.
And then that's what I'm saying. And for what objective and what purpose?
Well,
It feels like it's just to acquire this land, but then when we have this sports acres, what is he doing on it besides motivating children?
So he has his objectives, and I mean, these are really like what he shared with me, so this is what I know as well. But essentially build this facility that would be able to provide rejuvenate and rebuild a world-class year-round camp for physical, recreational, educational, cultural, and social programs, services, and activities. That's number 2. And there's 5 or 4 other reasons. I think essentially what he wants to do, Erica, the way I've kind of grasped it in my mind,
Yeah.
is like, imagine like, what's that place in Vernonia where the basketball
Yeah.
teams go? That plus like the LCYSA complex plus Broadway.
Camp Quanalong.
Yeah.
Plus Camp
Yeah.
Quanalong, all of these things in one
one.
really cool spot. And so you could program it and have, you know, lots of different types of athletic experiences for people.
Which would be a great opportunity for our local kids to have something that's
Where
not,
is this
not
again?
so- on
So-
on 26 towards Jewel, apparently.
It's right off 26,
It
right
has a
before you
sign
get
on
to
the highway that says
Yeah, I
Sports Acres.
remember.
I've actually traveled down there because I wanted to see what it was. I was curious, yeah.
This is all well and good, but it seems primarily designed for the benefit of the Siletz Indian tribes, who are a sovereign nation, I assume. Are they a recognized tribe? And it would be, it seems to me, the creation that we would be part of a receivership until an actual district, you know, a recreational district perhaps, was created. But I don't know why, it's interesting because I don't know how that would work with a sovereign nation of Indian, you know, an Indian tribe. But it's interesting to consider, you know, why our own Clatsop Indians here, who are not recognized tribe, why they have no special benefit with the district. But it is interesting, but I would be very careful of signing my name to anything that would create any financial obligation. Or, you know, and someone would have to pay mileage to, this sounds like a lot of travel for somebody.
Has anyone
And,
signed this besides us?
That question, but I'm curious myself, yeah.
I mean, I'm even curious, like, why did they pick Tualatin Hills? Like, why not pick
I
Hillsborough?
think it's because they
or-
felt like it was, THPRD is a large special district.
Yeah.
And I think it's
feed-
easier for special districts to kind of navigate this
Oh, okay.
as opposed to like City of Hillsborough, which isn't a special district. They're Park and Rec
But, you know,
agency.
I can't recall any tribal members of special districts that from all the meetings and different trainings I've gone to. I probably have met some Native Americans, but I have not seen them represented. And I think that would be very interesting, and it could be a model for Native Americans who should be, you know, rightfully concerned with their health and wellness as a group. So I think it's interesting, but I think, yeah, you know, we should table this.
Go ahead, Sue.
So Skylar, have you had any contact with the Tualatin Hills Park and Rec about
Initially,
this?
when we were discussing this a couple of years ago, I did have contact with their general manager, Doug, about this, and he said that they were aware of the proposal. They were kind of in the same stage as we were reviewing it. I haven't talked to him about it since then, though.
Yeah, it seems like there just needs to be a lot more information presented, or like the groups
Yeah.
together. Or
Maybe what would be a great strategy is either for myself or for a member of the board, I can provide Greg's contact information, and he's very amenable to that conversation. Some of those questions could get asked, and he would be the right person to ask them, and then we could bring that information back to the board, and we could discuss either moving forward or not. I think if that's okay.
I could probably, I'd like some information from the county. I used to be on the, resigned recently from the Recreation Lands Planning Advisory Committee. If this property exists in Clatsop County, it really, even though it may be property that belongs to the Celeste tribes, I don't know. But I don't recall, it's not listed in the Parks Master Plan as recreation land by the county, and they would have to recognize it, I assume. But it'd be interesting to see if they lend their natural resource management to the effect. We do have county parks over that way. There are 2 nice parks over there on 202 going into Jewel. But it'd be interesting, but it needs more research.
Well, yeah, I think this is the first step in a long conversation.
Yeah,
And I think it's interesting that it's on a first step if this has been around a proposal that's sitting around. Did he recently
He revisited this
Revisited?
conversation with me and said essentially, I'm aware that you have had turnover with your board, and that this was before COVID when we were talking about this
Yeah.
before. So he said, I'd like you to bring this to your board again and see if there's any interest.
Okay, so I think one of the things, it's interesting, but I think our obligation is to the district first, district members first, so that would be one of my concerns. I also am concerned, one of my red flags is if he doesn't currently have the property or have a clear plan, and I don't know if districts can claim eminent domain, is there, this could be a litigious kind of situation or something?
Sure.
Without more information.
Yeah.
I think it raises some red flags about how much time we should actually spend investing in.
Well, minimal staff time for sure. This is, I think, an ask of us to volunteer, and it's up to us to kind of decide if that's something we can do. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this says it's for sale.
Property?
2.5 acres.
Well, this
is-
No, I take
this is
that back. That might be
200
something else.
this is 288 acres.
Right.
I think
it's
part of
Sunset
it.
Highway 26, Sports Acres Lane.
I think part of it might be for sale or has been for sale previously.
288 acres.
But do we
in-
even want to invest staff time in
In the
that?
packet of information, there is an outline of the property,
Yeah.
and he even has an architecture firm that went through and laid out how the property could look. So
I think it's a fascinating idea.
If just to kind of save your time, Skylar, if the board feels that they're actually interested, maybe one of us should talk to the person, and that way Skylar and the rest of the staff
yeah,
don't
that's
have
what
to.
Skylar was saying, providing somebody.
or we
contact
could invite
info.
Greg to a meeting, a workshop or something if you wanted to,
I almost feel like it might be worthwhile just for one person. It might save us time.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to transition that and introduce whomever is able to fulfill that, and I would really appreciate it, just because I think what he's really asking for is not something that staff can provide.
No.
I can
Yeah.
try to get the questions answered from him, but I think it's easier to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
I am not volunteering for that this time.
I'm happy to volunteer for a 15-minute conversation, but I'm not, at this point, I'm not sure that I'm seeing anything that would warrant spending a huge amount more time.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Maybe I can introduce you electronically to him, Celeste, and encourage him to reach out to you.
Sure.
And if the board has questions that they would like
Is that
answered,
okay?
maybe they can either email them to me or just to Celeste directly. And
Yeah.
it seems like a great step. I appreciate you for doing that, Celeste. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. MOU with the Seaside School District for summer camp programming.
Okay, this is actually fairly simple, and I did want to bring it to the board for a couple of reasons. One, to provide visibility. Also, I think it's good evidence of the partnership that we continue to have. As you know, we're offering our summer camp every day, Monday through Friday at least, for I think 8 weeks or maybe 9 weeks this year. In August, the Seaside School District is also offering, I don't know if it's called summer camp or summer school. Summer school, but it's 2-week offerings in a number of subjects and topics, and it's kind of a great program. We've partnered with them to provide wraparound care for X number of children that are enrolled in that, and that will be, some of them will be at our facilities before they go to the camp up there from 9 to noon, and then come back and spend time with us in the afternoon. This MOU allows us to receive funds from the school district. They got funded, I believe, from the state of Oregon, a significant amount to provide this program, and they're willing to pass on some of those funds so that the children who applied and are qualified and found eligible, can have that full day care, either at the school district facilities or with us. So This MOU just outlines the arrangement, and we're working with them on a daily basis. This actually starts next Monday, August 2nd, and will run, there will be a 2-week session, and then we'll get a fresh or the same batch of kids for the second 2 weeks of August.
Does it need to say district?
I don't know if it legally does. I think just given that this is a not a legally binding document, it's just to outline the agreement.
Okay.
But we are talking about, as part of this agreement, a transfer of funds from the school district to us to reimburse us for the registration fees for the children that are enrolled, as well as staff time, program costs, and the other expenses that we incur during those 4 weeks.
I think it's great.
I mean, I think it's excellent, and I think it demonstrates why the extra space was needed. And I would encourage staff to consider doing some sort of press release about the partnership, to get some mileage out of that, to indicate what a good, that having these partnerships, but also having the space to hold activities like this is really important for our community.
I think that's a really good point. Thank you.
I agree. It's too bad RJ missed this part of it. He probably saw it on the agenda, but it's why we're here, and this is the kinds of things that we can expect and hope for with the investment in the SRC.
Yeah. Great work.
Okay. I would love to have just a motion for
Okay.
that the board approves this MOU, especially since the funding exceeds what staff were able to provide.
And you'll have legal review of the final documents and make sure it's.
I don't know actually if we will, just because for whatever reason, the way the school district wrote it is that they wrote that this is not a legally binding contract or agreement, but I guess I feel confident. If the board would like us to get it legally reviewed, we can.
I mean, when you have a legal document, usually before you sign it.
Yeah,
you
that's
get legal
true.
Review.
That's
But,
true.
Spencer Rockwell, he's paid for, we get his.
I move that the board acknowledge and enthusiastically accept, I don't know if accepting is what we need to do, but accept the MOU with the Seaside School District.
Yes.
Thank you, Celeste. Do we have a second? Thank you, Erica. All in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. Erica?
Aye.
Sue? Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Executive Director report.
Okay, I just have a few things briefly. Really thankful and glad that Melissa is still here. She's been working extremely hard on communication and marketing, improving the district in that way, but also we're saddled right now, or we have a lot of really wonderful special events around this time of year with our chalk art contest coming up on Friday. We have some events associated with the prom centennial celebration the following Saturday, and then a 5K run the following Saturday after that. And then we just added a new special event. It's going to be a youth track meet, which is going to be, I believe, on September 1st. Is that the right date? Yeah. As well as, farmers market every week. So thank you, Melissa, for your hard work, and to the team of staff that you have and volunteers that you work with. I think it's great that we have so many things going on, and it's a testament to what our mission is, to really provide opportunities for people to have good interactions, have social interaction, have healthy physical activity interaction time that they can benefit from. I wanted to share, I guess from my perspective, I know you all participated. Some of you participated a significant amount of your time, and I'm thankful for that. I thought that the visit from SFA and SEA was terrific. I thought we had great participation. I cannot remember the number, but I think we had, I guess I want to say it was around 70 or 75 total unique participants in our either stakeholder meetings or in the community town hall style meetings. I'm looking forward to the next steps. I know David Dwyer initiated a meeting opportunity for us to meet as a group in the next couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to kind of hearing from Susie and Evan on their perspective. I don't know if there's feedback on that, but again, just appreciate the board supporting that and also physically supporting it with your time and your energy and your perspectives. The last thing I shared electronically, and we have done some communication out to the public about this because I think it's really wonderful, but we received a grant from the Oregon Community Foundation for $50,000 actually for our summer camp programming. And we will be actually meeting tomorrow, I think, as a staff to kind of determine best way to use some of those funds. I think overall we've experienced a significant increase in funds for summer camp this year. I think there was a lot of funds made available, and we were assertive in trying to apply for some of those funds. We are serving more children than we ever have in our summer camp program, and part of that is because of our facility. Part of it's because I think we're offering a really wonderful program with diverse opportunities of enhancing the mind for the kids, but also enhancing physical wellness and just providing that safe space. So really happy about that. If there is feedback on the usage of those funds, please let me know. They are time sensitive. By the end of the calendar year, we'll have to have used those funds. And I am hopeful that moving forward, not all of these funding opportunities will dry up, that we'll have access to some more grants and other opportunities.
Does the grant, because I mean, we've only got like a month left of summer camp, basically.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
does it have to be applied to this year's summer camp?
Yeah, it doesn't actually say that.
Okay.
So I don't know if it would be feasible for us to find ways to use.
So it can be used for things to enhance next year's.
I think potentially, yeah, it definitely can. Yeah, and I think one
Is
way that
there-
we may try to use some of the funds this year is to open up access even more than it already is, maybe providing additional scholarships or replenishing our scholarship fund from what has been used already by summer campers.
Were there, on this particular grant, were there restrictions on what it's to be used for?
The restrictions are very loose, as was the previous one.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there are some supplies that would accentuate young people's experiences for
Yeah.
camp type activities, including particularly making sure that young people have access like to technology, because I know that's something we talked about, a use for the SRC,
Mhm.
and also arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another consideration.
Maybe, when I was a kid, the local park and rec, in the summer, they had a slip and slide.
Mhm.
Like, really cool.
Fun stuff,
but,
yeah.
But like unique to that, that was water, just fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
That was water. I don't know if there's something we could do with that. I don't know. Anyway.
I also wonder, and I don't know if this would be a stretch or not, but if there are parts of the building that we would make better use of if they had some repair or some improvements made to them,
Yeah,
and whether or not the funds could be used for that.
I think that's kind of one of the directions that we were thinking
Yeah.
about as a staff. Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you for your work on that. That's,
Sure. Can I-
50,000. Great. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, just following up on the director's report, since Melissa's in the room, I wanted to propose a question. From the community gardens, we've got an abundance of catnip, lemon balm, and some other possible herbs that I could cut down and you could give away free at the farmer's market. I brought over some a couple of years ago. I don't know, a big bundle. I don't know if people knew what to do, but we've got gardening plots that have no gardeners, and I have a plot that I love the catnip because the honeybees, it's just wonderful to walk through the gardens and see the bees. And they are very busy right now, the catnip and some other things, lemon balm included,
But you don't have a cat?
huh?
You don't have a cat?
No, I don't at this time. But I will bring some to the market tomorrow, some stuff, and, it's free,
Upcoming calendar items. I always step on your toes with this one, so you go ahead.
No, I'm not sure if I should just remove this because I feel like I kind of,
We kind of talk about them all
Yeah.
the time.
I guess, I don't think there's anything on here that you weren't already discussing.
I would love to hear more about the youth track meet. I'm super
Yeah, me
excited
too.
about that. So what is that? What, Melissa?
I'm probably the third most qualified person in the room to speak on it.
Oh yeah, awesome.
I recruited Melissa and Skylar and the foundation.
Is this going to be similar to what they do or did in Warrenton, where it's just kind of open
Well,
to the community?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, there used to be like all comers meet. It was called the Hershey's all comers meet, or there was I think there was a Carl Lewis one. So basically, we just wanted to try to start that back up. The kids, as you know, Catherine, haven't had any exposure to really running in general for our younger ones. So the track coach and I, Melissa, Skylar, and then Ashley from the foundation are just going to try to work together to put together the meet for September 1st. The track coach is super excited, and he's been wanting to do
Is
this. So
Brett.
Jeff Kilday.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Melissa's got like a press release set. It'll go out in the newsletter, and then I think the only thing that we need to think about, Melissa, is trying to get it out to like some of the neighboring communities somehow, Warrenton and Astoria.
That would have been a great thing for RJ.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely send that.
Yeah.
We'll be sending the press release to RJ.
Well, and
so
I think you could even expand beyond, because I think that could draw people
definitely.
tourists that are down here. So I would encourage us to think about expanding beyond, because people travel for those kinds of track, or at least I did when I was a kid, traveled. Yeah, but it's still during summer. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
before Labor Day, so
Yeah.
there may be people around. Yeah, I've been actually searching all comers meets, and there's not a lot in Oregon
Yeah.
at all this year. So
And with the Olympics happening right now,
Yeah.
I think you're going to have some young people that are pretty geared up and watching the Olympics and be excited. Yeah.
yeah, so it's ages.
Cool.
We're gonna do 3 through 13. We'll have like a little 3 to 5-year-old sprint, which will be really cute. And we've already hashed out the events, so I think Jeff's pretty, confident he can run a track meet since he's the track coach. So he's got that under control. We just kind of need to help. So definitely, as it gets closer, if you guys can volunteer, I mean, if Catherine, if you're there with your kids, it would be really awesome. So-
I'm signing them up.
Great.
They need to run.
And you'll register the day of, so that's even more helpful. You don't have to get anything out.
It's awesome.
Oh, also we're gonna charge $5 per kid, and then just kind of ask for donations. We'll have raffles and
Any sponsorships?
yeah, I've already got a couple. I've got a couple really cool raffle presents.
Yeah.
And then we were thinking a 50-50 might be fun because it's a good way to make money.
Yeah.
And we're gonna split it with the track team.
Okay.
Catherine, I don't know if, well, actually, Erica, I'm not sure if you had any progress on this, but we would love to have it at the new track facility. So if you can maybe put in a good word for us.
They're not replying to me. They're like keep saying nobody's in the office, but we do need to. From what I understand from Jeff, it's not an option, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I will say that the last time that I asked him about that, which was to do the elementary school little fundraiser, it was pretty much a hands down no because the grass is still new and
Yeah.
we didn't want people on the grass yet. But I will ask. I go back to work.
Yeah, if I just need to book something, if we need to book the other, but
Yeah.
It's public space. Can we just use it? I mean, that's happened before with Broadway Field. Just saying the gates are unlocked. I've been up there. But, sorry, off the record.
Yeah. You're gonna get me in trouble.
Tuesday, you'll be back in the office, right?
Monday.
Monday. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. So for those that are watching at home and could not hear Melissa, on Thursday there is a swim meet at
The pool.
what
6
time?
o'clock.
6
4 o'clock. I don't know. It's in the afternoon.
4
yeah.
o'clock in the afternoon. For
You have
more
the flyer.
information, you can contact the main office at the pool.
Yes.
Okay. Motion to move to executive session?
I move we go to executive session for the purpose of performance review for executive director pursuant to ORS 192.6601I.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Erica. All in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. Erica? Sue? Celeste?
Aye.
Mike?
Of course.
Aye. Motion carries. We will now be in executive session.
I don't do
With the,
No, we don't say the amount, right?
No,
oh, okay.
it was just
I see exactly what you just said.
as discussed.
I forgot what you just said.
I make a motion that we accept.
Oh,
Go for it, Sue.
oh, hold it, we gotta, Skylar's turning everything back on.
Oh.
Yeah, I make a motion.
I can't even see.
Oh, I remember, I still remember.
I'm getting cataract.
And you made your first motion.
And
I
I
was
think
like,
it's
what?
controlled by the
And you
computer,
said,
not the camera.
it's like a baby step.
Oh, I
And
see.
I'm like, what?
They
I
used to-
still
they used
remember
to
looking at him like,
on the YouTube.
okay, be happy.
All right. Good job. Well, if you mess it up, then it's on him.
I agree.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the terms that were discussed in executive session regarding our executive director.
Okay, do we have a second?
All right, second.
Thank you, Erica. All in favor signify aye, oppose nay. Erica?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. Motion carries. Board comment. Erica?
Think there's some really exciting events coming up, and I just want to, I guess, thank Skylar for the year, probably even much longer than a year, really since COVID hit. Just pretty turbulent, life experiences as well as stuff that he's been managing internally, externally, all over the place. So, great job.
Thank you.
And I would literally ditto that, but add that I appreciate the staff at the various facilities that have persevered through some tough times, as well as, some exciting times, and looking forward to the positive agendas that we have coming up. So I would just echo a gratitude in multiple ways for what we have persevered, and the fact that we're all sworn in officially. We've been elected officially, and look at our board, public comment. So anyway, I say thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Celeste?
Yeah, congratulations, Skylar, on a great year, and I'm particularly excited about seeing what comes out of our planning sessions for the new SRC facility, and super excited that even before we have the plan, that some really exciting opportunities are unfolding in partnership with other community organizations.
Thanks. Mike?
Yeah, it's really been a year. Look at where we were a year ago, or where we weren't, but Skylar has bared up to the challenge, and the board has too. And, it's been a year like no other I've ever seen on this board. I guess I'm going on 20 years. So that's saying something. I would like to thank my fellow directors for all the work they've done. And I thought it was great the way everyone showed up for the stakeholders review, and with the sports facility advisors. I made it to almost everything, but I was a little bit late for that last stakeholders meeting, but I was really impressed at the number of people who were there. And a lot of people obviously came back, but I saw new faces every time I went into a session, it seemed. So I thought it was very engaging. It was very good. And I also appreciated, Skylar, that you sent me that email letter from Henry Balsenfer, which could have been in correspondence, but he was echoing that we could consider programming that wasn't necessarily for sports, for a lot of kids who are not athletic or sports-minded, who are a different ilk, maybe nerdish, maybe they're geeks, who knows? Maybe they're just on the fringe, need to be attracted, need to be pulled in with the right program. We can't forget those kids. And I appreciate his letter, and I think I appreciate Henry being mayor of Warrenton, because I've worked with him with board leadership training in the past, and he's really come of age. I really appreciate the kid.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
I am very excited to finally be officially elected. I now have a certificate to prove it. I'm going to frame it, hang it on my wall.
Yeah, those actual ones, I don't know if that's a photocopy.
It
maybe, but
looks pretty fancy.
A lot of times
It's got it's got a seal.
yeah, they keep them on file. But when I retire, I want to get my copies.
Certificate, you can either have the legitimate one, or you can have the copy that I made you, but I do need you to sign your other certificate before you exit today, if you can.
So, yes, very excited to be elected. I'm incredibly proud to serve on this board with each and every one of you. I think we make a great team. And I'm really, really proud of our district. I'm really proud of the foresight that we are having to build this space for our community and leave this legacy for our children and our children's children. I think it's incredibly exciting. I'm very thankful for Mike and Celeste taking kind of the lead, and Skylar on the sports facility engagement and community meetings. Very, very excited to see what comes out of that, and for the future. I think it's incredibly, I keep using the word exciting, exciting. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you, Skylar, for everything. Thank you to the staff for working so hard during all this time. And with that.
No, I had one more comment.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I forgot to say, one thing I've been thinking about, because I've in my neighborhood is changing, and I'm glad for that. But I've been thinking, a new family moved in with 4 young children, next door to me, And I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if the directors, if we had to invite new neighbors to come to the park district, come to the pool, get swim lessons for their children. If we had something like a free pass that we could give out to someone that
I
we
want the
thought,
official one.
what would it
Yeah.
be for? Would it be for swim
the shiny
lessons? Would it be for a camp? Or would it be for a child care session?
I think, don't we have a free open swim little pass?
I'd like to hand some.
Yeah.
Say, I'm inviting you to try out our program
Yeah?
and join the district. I've invited them, hey, get a community garden plot.
Yeah?
The people who lived there before, had rented a plot and they had to move.
Skylar,
I would like to
we have
engage
little
people.
free, aren't they little, because we used to staple them to the, oh no, that was, never mind, they were coupons.
Oh, I have to sign this?
Anyway, meeting adjourned.
Thank you. I'm glad you got here all right.
Yes, I was very
You
proud
need
of
this?
myself. I may have broken a few speeding laws, but I didn't. That's not on record.
Anyway. Got my,
I got an email about the training. I can't.
my little llama.
I would love to,